She almost walked away from tennis this week, then Eala said something nobody expected. She stood in front of the cameras in Cincinnati with a bandage still fresh on her memory, and the first words out of her mouth made every single person in that room go quiet. Because for a moment, it sounded like Eala was about to say goodbye to this tournament before it even started. Stay with me, because what she says next is going to change the way you see her entire summer. There is an injury update in here that fans have been begging for. There is a confession about exhaustion that she has never said out loud before. And there is a piece of history she just made in Cincinnati that not even her biggest supporters saw coming. If you leave before the end, you are going to miss the one detail that has tennis insiders saying this could be her most dangerous tournament yet. Before we go further, if you love watching the rise of Eala as much as we do, hit that subscribe button right now. Not for us. For her. Every subscriber tells YouTube that her story deserves to be seen by more people, that a young woman from the Philippines chasing history deserves a bigger stage. If you have ever felt that chill down your spine watching thousands of fans chant her name, you already know why this channel exists. So subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and let's get into what really happened. It started in Washington, D.C. Eala walked into the Cincinnati Open ranked outside the top 30 and walked out as a champion. She faced world number 3 Jessica Pegula in the final, dropped the first set, and then did something almost nobody saw coming. She won the final 8 games of the match without facing a single break point, closing it out 4-6, 6-4, 6-0. It was her first WTA Tour singles title, and it made her the first player from the Philippines to ever win one. But there was no time to celebrate. Days later she landed in Toronto for the National Bank Open, a WTA 1000 event, one of the biggest levels of tennis outside the Grand Slams. She was carrying a 7-match winning streak into the tournament and a brand new career-high ranking of world number 20. And the fans followed her. Sobeys Stadium turned into a wall of Philippine flags, with fans packing the stands and chanting her name so loudly that opposing players could hear it from the locker room. She beat Alicia Parks in her opening match. Then came the third round against American Katie McNally. Eala took the first set comfortably. But early in the second set, she planted awkwardly after a forehand and rolled her right ankle. The medical timeout that followed sent a wave of panic through her fanbase watching around the world. Was this it? Was her incredible run about to end because of one bad step? She had her ankle looked at, got back on court, and somehow, through the pain, fought her way to a 3-set win, 6-3, 5-7, 6-4. Afterward, she told reporters that nothing serious was wrong, that she had simply landed badly and called the physio out of caution. But here is the part that should worry you if you are a fan. This win pushed her professional match count to 9 in just 13 days. That is an enormous physical toll for any athlete, let alone one nursing a freshly rolled ankle. And that is exactly when the tournament turned against her. Her next opponent was Belinda Bencic, a former world number 4 and a Tokyo Olympics gold medalist. Bencic was relentless. Eala, running on fumes from 2 weeks of non-stop tennis, fell 6-4, 6-0 in just 73 minutes. Her 7-match winning streak was over. Her run in Toronto ended in the 4th round. And in the aftermath, she said something that stopped fans cold. She admitted she was as tired as she had ever been at this stage of a tournament. Not injured in a way that ended her season. Not broken. But drained in a way she had never fully described before. Even in defeat, the crowd rose to their feet for her. But somewhere in the tennis world, critics were already asking the question fans did not want to hear. Was Eala running on empty right when the toughest stretch of her season was about to begin? That question hung in the air for days. And then she walked up to the microphone in Cincinnati. The smile everyone recognizes was back on her face, but so was something sharper, something more focused. Reporters asked her directly about the ankle. They asked what really happened in Toronto. And instead of deflecting, she gave them an honest answer. She said she was healthy, that being healthy was something she never took for granted, and that she was counting her blessings. She acknowledged the fatigue. She acknowledged the physical toll of the last 2 weeks. But she made it clear that her focus now was recovery and preparation for what comes next. Then she revealed something almost nobody expected to hear from a professional athlete days before a major tournament. Her recovery plan involved getting a haircut, trimming her nails, spending time with friends in Cincinnati just to get her mind off tennis completely. It sounds small, but think about what it reveals. This is a 21-year-old who has played an exhausting, emotionally charged, physically brutal stretch of tennis, and her way back to full strength starts with simply being a person again before she becomes a competitor again. And her mindset heading into Cincinnati was not about fear. It was about extraction. She said she was taking the lessons from the last 2 weeks and planning to apply them even more in Cincinnati and at the US Open. She called the stretch a big positive overall, despite the loss, despite the ankle, despite the exhaustion. That is not the language of someone who is rattled. That is the language of someone building towards something bigger. But here is where the story gets almost unbelievable, because right as she finished speaking, the tournament made an announcement that turned her entire narrative upside down. Alex Eala was projected to receive the number 17 seed at the Cincinnati Open. Let that sink in for a second. This is her highest seeding ever at a WTA 1000 event. It happened partly because of her own remarkable rise to a career-high ranking of number 20 in the world, and partly because 3 higher-ranked players, Karolina Muchova, Jasmine Paolini, and Victoria Mboko, were forced to withdraw due to injury. That seed number comes with a massive advantage. In a field of 128 players, the top 32 seeds receive a bye straight into the second round. That means Alex Eala, fresh off the most physically demanding stretch of her career, just earned herself extra days to rest that ankle, recover from the fatigue, and prepare before she has to hit a single competitive ball. Now stop and think about the timing of all of this. The exhaustion. The injury scare. And then, almost like the tennis gods were listening, a bye directly into round 2. If there was ever a moment for a comeback story to write itself, this is it. The field she is walking into is stacked. World number 1 Aryna Sabalenka, Elena Rybakina, Jessica Pegula, the very player Eala beat in the Washington final, Coco Gauff, Mira Andreeva. Every one of them capable of ending a run in a single afternoon. And yet, with this seeding, Eala is positioned to potentially collide with one of these giants deep into the tournament, not in the opening rounds. And when she landed in Cincinnati, something happened that tournament organizers were clearly not fully prepared for. Thousands of fans showed up waving Philippine flags, chanting her name before she had even played a match. This is a pattern that has followed her all year, from Melbourne to Auckland to Indian Wells to Washington to Toronto, and now to Ohio. She has described the feeling of representing an entire country's pride as something far bigger than herself, saying she feels like just one small part of an ocean of Filipino pride that follows her everywhere she competes. Even her opponents have noticed. Katie McNally, the player she battled through that brutal ankle scare in Toronto, publicly thanked the Filipino fans for their support and kindness, even in defeat against Eala. That is rare in professional sports, an opponent openly acknowledging the power of a rival's fanbase. And it is not just fans. It is legends of the sport. Former world number 1 Andy Roddick has spoken publicly about Eala multiple times in recent weeks, saying flatly that everyone in tennis should be cheering for her because of the scale of the audience she is bringing into the sport. He has pointed out that her success has the potential to turn enormous numbers of new fans, especially across the Philippines, into lifelong followers of tennis. Rafael Nadal and Martina Navratilova have also publicly praised her breakthrough this summer. When names like that start talking about you before you have even won a Grand Slam, you know something rare is happening. So let's zoom out for a second, because the scale of what Alex Eala has done in 2026 is almost hard to comprehend. This is a player who, back in 2022, became the first Filipino to ever win a junior Grand Slam title. In March of 2025, she stormed into the semi-finals of the Miami Open, defeating 3 separate Grand Slam champions along the way, including Iga Swiatek. In 2026, she became the first Filipina in history to win a Grand Slam singles main draw match at the US Open. And now, in the span of a few short weeks, she has added her first WTA Tour singles title, her deepest ever run at a WTA 1000 event, and her highest ever seeding heading into Cincinnati. Every single piece of that story points toward one thing. The US Open is next. Cincinnati is the final major tune-up before the last Grand Slam of the year, and every match she plays here is being watched as a preview of what might be coming in New York. If she can manage her body, protect that ankle, and carry the mental lessons she says she has learned from Washington and Toronto into this tournament, there is a very real chance we are about to watch the biggest run of her career unfold in real time. But here is the question nobody can answer yet, and it is the reason you need to keep watching this channel over the next 2 weeks. Will that ankle hold up under the pressure of best-of-3 matches against the very best players in the world? Will the fatigue that she admitted to so honestly in Toronto catch up with her again once the adrenaline of a new tournament wears off? And if she gets through Cincinnati healthy, what happens when she walks into Flushing Meadows carrying the hopes of an entire nation on her shoulders? We are about to find out, and you do not want to be the last one to know how this story ends. Subscribe now, hit that notification bell, and get ready, because the next chapter of Alex Eala's incredible summer is about to begin, and it might be the biggest one yet.